Morning, as we go to the Chitas of today, we're holding the sixth reading in the portion of Pekudei, and the last portion of the book of Exodus. We're holding on chapter 40, verse number 17. It was in the first month, Bashana Shenis of the second year, Be'echel HaChodesh, in the first day of the month, which is in the month of Nisan. Hukam HaMishkan, the Mishkan was set up. Vayakar Moshe HaMishkan, and Moshe Rabbeinu set up this Mishkan. Vayidas HaAdonav, he put its planks. Vayasim Es Kroshav, he put its bars. He put up its sockets, put up its planks. Vayitin Es Birichav, he put up its bars. Vayakar Es Hamudav, and he put up its pillars. Vayifresh Israel, and he spread out the tent of the Mishkan, Ala Mishkan on the Mishkan. Vayasim Echseu, he placed the cover, olav, on it, lemaila, as kashativa Hashemesh Moshe, as God commanded Moshe. What's his oil? Rashi says the curtains of goat here. He then took and placed the testimony into the ark. And then he put the poles in the ark. And then he placed the ark cover on the ark, from above it. Esaedus, what is the testimony? Rashi says is the luchis, is the type to two tablets. Then he brought the ark into the Mishkan. He then placed the screen divider between the holy and holies. It's protected over the Aron, over in front of the Aron. As God commanded Moshe. Then he put the table. Bayel Moed, in the tent of meeting. Ayerach Mishkan Tzveina, to the north side of the Mishkan. V'chultza Perechas, and outside of the Perechas. Now she says, B'chatzia Tzifeini, the northern half of the width of the temple. Yerach is the thigh. So to say, Tzida, the side. Ayerach alav Erech Lechem, and he put the upon a range of the bread. Now Hashem before God. Kashatziv Hashem Eshbeis, which God commanded Moshe. Verse 24, he then placed the Meneda by Yomaid in the tent of meeting, opposite the table, on the side of the southern side of the base of Mikdash. And then he lit them the Meneda, now Hashem before God, God commanded Moshe. He then took and placed the golden altar in the tent of meeting, now in front of the curtain. And then he brought upon it incense, as God commanded Moshe. Now she says, in the morning and in the evening, as it's brought down by as it says in Exodus chapter 30, that in the morning when he sets up the lamp, he should bring the keteris. And that completes the Chumash for today. We now go to the Tanya of the day. Well, the Rebbe ended off yesterday with a question. And the question, the $6 million question, why did the Eibishter bring down an neshama to the world of a Beinoni, that he would constantly have the struggle with his nefesh of Bahamas? I mean, never overcome his nefesh of Bahamas, that animistic soul. Why would God do that? Alter Rebbe says, the above mentioned difficulty will be resolved by clarifying first the comment of the Yunka. Yunka is a young one, quoted in the Zohar in Pasha Balak. Al-Pasik, he explained the verse, Chacham Eino Bereishay. The verse says, a wise man's eyes are in his head. Zohar comments, V'chiban asad eina debarnash. Where else is the eye, man's eye? What means a wise man's eye in his head? Everybody's eye is in their head. So every person, whether he's wise or not wise, has his eyes in his head. So what is the meaning? The meaning, the verse is as follows. Nan, we learned in the Mishnah, Lo yach barnash bigula reisha arbamis. We learned that a man must not go 4 cubits, like 6 feet, while bareheaded. A man needs to cover his head. We're yarmulke. Right. We shouldn't walk 4 ames, which is around 6 feet, without a yarmulke. My time. Why should a man wear yarmulke and he should not walk 6 feet without a yarmulke? Because Shchinta Shaya Aresha. Because the Shechina, the presence of God, rests upon his head. So the Zohar continues and says, "V'chol chacham einayu meilayu b'reisha." Therefore, every wise man has his eyes, meaning his interest and his concern, and hence also his speech concentrated in his head. He always has to look up at the Shechina. Chacham eina b'reisha, meaning the light of the Shechina which rests and abides above his head. Chacham eina b'reisha. A man, a chacham, always looks to the Shechina, always looks to the presence of God, which is above his head. And now when his eyes, meaning, when you say eyes, eyes means his interest and his concern. That's the meaning of eyes. Know that they are there. He must know that there's a light that is kindled above his head. Itzel mishcha, meaning the light that shines upon the soul, requires oil. A chacham realizes that he has a godly entity above him. A wise person realizes that he has a godly entity above him, which is like a fire. And this fire, to be able to keep it alive, needs oil. His body's like a wick. The fire is above his head. And for this fire to continue to exist, he needs to have oil. Begin gufa the banash, for man's body is the wick. That retains the luminous flame that the light is kindled above it. So a person, that's what the Zohar says, banash, a person, if this person is a chacham, he would always realize that he has a godly flame above him. And if he realizes that he has a godly flame above him, he'll make sure to give it oil. Because without that oil, the flame will jump off the wick. And thus King Solomon cried out, saying, let there be no lack of oil above your head. Because the light above your head requires oil, requires oil. And they are the good deeds. The good deed that man performs are the oil, which supplies the light, illuminating his soul. And this is the reason why a wise man's eyes are in his head, to ensure that he never lacks oil. If he's smart, he can make sure that there's never, ever a lack of oil. Good deeds for this light. At kan l'shenai, this is a quotation from the Zohar, ends over here. This is the explanation of the Yunka in the Zohar that explains what's the meaning of Chacham Eina B'Reishai, that a wise man will always have his eyes on what's above his head, his eyes on the soul, the fire of the soul that is burning above him. But here completes the Tanya of the day. So I hope and I pray, my dear friends, that everybody learns Tanya tomorrow and continues to learn what the Alter Rebbe wants to bring out from this, because the Alter Rebbe ended off yesterday with a very important question, which we need to have an answer to this question. Today is the 5th day of the month. The Tillim of the month is chapter 29 to chapter 30. Tillim of the day, I mean chapter 29 to chapter 34. If you do those 6 chapters, you do the Chitas of the day. I wish you a good Nev Shabbos, a good Shabbos, and Mir Shem we'll meet all together on Sunday, 8 a.m. Continue to learn the Chitas of the day. Have a wonderful, beautiful, and happy